Expand your locomotive roster without blowing your budget on this episode of Toy Train Tips and Tricks. Hello again, this is Mike with another episode of Toy Train Tips and Tricks. If you're a toy train operator like me, you always want another diesel or 2 or 3 for your railroad. Not that you can actually run all of them at the same time, but to add variety to your roster and to your operating sessions. For example, as shown in a previous episode, I have a Lionel Preamble Express F3 on my roster. I like the colors and the patriotic theme, but it just doesn't feel right as an everyday locomotive for hauling coal trains or auto parts. And I like the look of Lionel F3s and would like some in some different varieties. But F3s in good condition can cost $150 and up, so it doesn't take long to deplete my diesel budget. There must be a way. One of the nice things about later post-war and MPC-era F3s is that it's very easy to remove the shells. There's a single screw on the front and 2 clips in the back, and that's all. So I thought, what if I run my Preamble Express as normal for Memorial Day, Independence Day, and Labor Day, and other special times, but I swap a different shell onto it to run the rest of the year? A good condition replacement shell is a fraction of the cost of a full locomotive. And if you're willing to repaint the shell, they can cost even less. So I recently purchased this junker, Lionel number 2243 F3, on eBay for less than $40. It is not in running condition, and the shell is an absolute mess. So it is certainly not a collectible piece. It's a perfect candidate to be stripped and repainted into something that I can run every day. In addition to the shell, the model included parts that I could remove and possibly reuse on other models, and even make a new non-powered unit to mount this and other shells onto. After removing the horns, the headlight, and the number boards, I soaked the shell overnight in my favorite paint stripper, Purple Cleaner, and it worked great. But what to paint the shell? The focus of my railroad is the Cincinnati area in the mid-1970s, so I wanted to represent something that would have been appropriate for that place and time. This time period was the Conrail transition era, and I have memories and even some 8mm movie footage of Penn Central F7s occasionally running out of Sharonville Yard. PC black would be easy to paint, no masking required, and it would be appropriate for the time, at least for similar-looking F7s, and for the area. Plus, commercial decals are available from K4 Decals. Could I have made my own? Possibly. I might have been able to find the correct font and logos online, but since K4 had done all of the hard work already, and it was less than $10 for the decal sheet and shipping, I thought the purchased decals were more than worth it. So I began painting my shell with my good old Iwata Neo airbrush, but after 3 coats of my usual Tester's black paint, I didn't think the black was black enough, more of a dark charcoal. But since it's August and I can paint outdoors, I tried some good old-fashioned rattle can black. In this case, the basic generic black gloss from Menards were around $3 a can. Much better. Then I hit it with a quick gloss coat just to prepare it for decals. All of Penn Central's F3s were gone before Conrail came along, but several similar-looking F7s were still on the roster until 1979. I searched the internet for photos of Conrail F7s and found one, number 1689, which was still in full Penn Central lettering in late 1977. Railroad Picture Archives is a good site for this kind of research, and in this case I also searched the photo archive at the Conrail Historical Society webpage. Lettering would be simple: a small PC noodle logo at the top of the front door, 2 medium-sized noodles low on either side of the cab in front of the ladders, Penn Central text along each side under the louvers, almost exactly where the original Santa Fe lettering appeared on the Lionel shell, and the numbers high on the rear of the locomotive. Next, I use an X-Acto knife with a brand new blade to cut out each of the needed decals, checking the size against the model as I went. Cut the decal as close as possible to the printing without actually touching the lettering. It's better to be too far away than too close. Next, I prepared my decaling supplies. Small bowl of distilled water, some paper towels, cotton swabs, 2 art brushes, and micro set and micro saw. On my previous decaling video, I was out of microsol and instead used a homemade formula, which did not work quite as well. Place the first decal in the water for a few seconds and then pluck it out of the water and place it on the paper towel. The water will continue to separate the decal from the backing film as it sits. Then use the microset on your brush to prepare the area on the model for the first decal. After a minute or so, the decal should separate from the backing easily, so grab it and position it using the brush and maybe the tweezers. Be gentle and don't push down. Work from the middle of the decal out. Just get the decal in the location where it belongs. It should start to settle down on its own. Dab away any excess solution using a cotton swab. Once the location is correct, move on to the next decal and repeat the process until one side of the model is lettered and dry. While I was waiting for the solution to dry, I carefully filed the Lionel numbers off each number board, leaving a smooth surface. I was originally going to add numbers to the boards, but then decided that my eyes were not quite up to the task of handling such small numbers. Repeat the whole process for the opposite side. Then do the nose decal. Now it's time for microsol. This solution softens the decals and lets them settle into the model surface. It also helps remove any air bubbles you may have missed. Using a clean brush, apply the microsol to the complete surface area of each decal. Then remove any excess with a cotton swab. Wait 15 to 20 minutes for the microsol to work and reapply if necessary. Repeat the process for every decal on the model. I let everything dry overnight, and after a last inspection, I sprayed the entire model with Tester's Dull Coat. This removes the shine of the paint and also helps hide the decal edges. You can add additional coats if necessary. Again, I let everything dry overnight, and then I replaced the horns, the headlights, and other details. Unfortunately, the windshield was cracked on this model when it arrived. I'll have to order a replacement. Now I can swap my Preamble Express shell for my custom Penn Central to run on the layout when I'm not in the mood for a patriotic diesel. But that's not all. I stripped the motor, horn, and relay from the frame, and then the front and rear trucks. There was significant acid damage from a leaking horn battery, so I soaked the frame in detergent overnight and then sanded off any corrosion I found. As there are more paint possibilities with a black frame than a silver frame, I decided to paint the frame black. Then I replaced the front and rear trucks without the motor and converted this model into a non-powered or dummy version. I was not able to salvage the motor, but I saved many parts, including the E-unit, horn, brushes, and brush plate that I can use to maintain my other models. Then, by reattaching the front and rear trucks, I have a new unpowered dummy frame to use with another scrap F3 shell. And wouldn't you know it, I just happen to have another junk Lionel O27 F3 shell that's just dying for a fresh coat of paint. So, for a total investment of less than $60 for the junk F3, paint, decals, and shipping charges, I have a new powered F3 for my layout to share time with my Preamble Express, a new dummy F3 frame to accept the shell of my next project, plus about $30 worth of spare parts to keep my fleet running. That's a pretty good deal, I think. Plus, for around $25, I picked up another junk F3 shell that's ready to ride my new dummy frame. I could make another Penn Central since I still have paint and decals left over, but I'm thinking maybe B&O Blue or maybe Western Maryland might be nice. I need to go decal shopping. And don't limit this idea to just F3s. You can easily swap shells on Lionel Jeep 7s, Jeep 9s, Jeep 20s, NW2 switchers, Alco FAs, and even U36Bs. As long as you have one powered frame for each type, you can swap out various shells all year long to add variety to your roster at a fraction of the cost of good condition powered models. Plus, you can make models that Lionel never did. Oh, and remember that each decal sheet can be enough to letter 2 or even 3 models, and usually of various types. I could make a Penn Central NW2 or GP7 easily with the decals I have remaining from this F3 project. So there it is, an inexpensive way to add variety to the diesels on your roster. With a little bit of time and creativity, you can double or even triple the size of your diesel roster for much less than the cost of factory perfect models. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it, and if so, please like it, share it, click for a free subscription, and leave us comment about your favorite custom model projects. Keep the trains running, and we'll catch you next time on Toy Train Tips and Tricks.